Thank you very much. There are a whole lot of questions even after they were separated. I take the liberty of asking you gentlemen one question each, if you don't mind, and then quickly rushing through this. We have about 29 minutes for this whole thing. One is to you, Professor Mahbubani. You said that after 9/11, it was a provocation to the Americans, and the Americans did get provoked, which was a strategic mistake. To some extent, India is in the same boat, because in the last 2 years we've had Mumbai, and then Delhi, and then Varanasi, and then Guwahati, and then Jaipur, and then Ahmedabad, then Bangalore, then Hyderabad, then Delhi again, and then Mumbai, all getting bombed. I mean, it's with monotonous regularity, and most of it, actually, the belief in India, and there's a lot of proof, is being funded and masterminded from Pakistan, with some help from local Simi elements. Professor Cohen was telling us that 70% of American supplies go to Afghanistan, go through Pakistan, and America is not terribly keen on starting something major against Pakistan. Considering that Dr. Manmohan Singh, Sonia Gandhi and Advani don't play golf, which would of course be the ideal solution, what do the Indians do? I mean, we have a lot of people who don't live in India and come and tell us, please have patience, you know. What do Indians do? If you were in charge in India, what should you actually do? I mean, apart from giving lectures, etc., what do you exactly do?
I think the big danger of speaking to such a remarkably intelligent audience like this is that you get very difficult questions. But Pakistan is frankly one of the most difficult issues to address, and also I'll address it very carefully. But first of all, declare where I stand. I am, by the way, ethnically Indian, but I'm a Singapore citizen. And I have watched this India-Pakistan issue almost from childbirth, because my family were Hindu Sindhis, and of course when partition took place, they had to leave Pakistan. And my mother had a very close shave, because she was fleeing in the train. She was in the last compartment of a train with 45 other Hindu Sindhi women and children, being protected by a single Sikh guard with a single shot rifle. And in the middle of the night, her compartment got decoupled from the rest of the train. So there were these 45 Hindu women all by themselves in the middle of a desert with one Sikh guard protecting them. And you can imagine how a traumatic night it was for my mother. Luckily, the next morning, the next train came along and literally pushed her compartment across the border. And when my mother arrived to safety, she was of course very relieved. But she came to Singapore in 48, where I was born. And you can imagine the scars that she felt about Pakistan and how strongly she felt. So it's not an issue that I'm totally detached about. At the same time, I also realize that if you want to find solutions to issues like this, please do not look for a quick fix. There is no quick fix. You have to have a very patient, long-term policy. And here, to give you an illustration of what can be a wrong policy towards Pakistan, and I say this with some trepidation because the world authority on Pakistan is here, Steve. If you look at American policy towards Pakistan, America embraced Pakistan in the Cold War. Pakistan was a #1 strategic ally, despite the fact it had a military government. And then at the end of the Cold War, Pakistan was dropped. It went from being a strategic ally to a strategic orphan. And even though Pakistan had democratic governments, sanctions were imposed on Pakistan by Washington, D.C. And by the way, this was told to me by Moin Qureshi, one of the most, remarkable guys from Pakistan. And then, after 9/11 happened, Pakistan was once again rediscovered as an ally of America.